Hey there! Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you're joining me for my January bullet journal setup. I wanted to choose another theme that is very simple and easy for any bullet journal beginner, so I decided to go with this very simple minimalist desert landscape theme. When it comes to the bullet journal notebook, the Archer and Olive is definitely my favorite, and for this January bullet journal setup, I'm going to be using this specific notebook in the size A5. I'm also going to be using the Archer and Olive acrylic graph pens from the Cool Fall set, the Primary set, and the Jewel set as well. I'm also going to be linking some of the Tombow brush pens that you can use as alternatives. I'm also going to be using some gold paint from the brand Coliro Colors. You can also use the Jelly Roll metallic pen in gold as an alternative. I'm also going to be using this vintage style wooden alphabet stamps, and of course everything is going to be linked in the description down below along with some cheaper alternatives as well. Now let's get started with our January 2022 bullet journal cover page. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is create a line down the middle of my bullet journal page, and I'm gonna use this as a line to help me create a symmetrical window shape, and this line is gonna help make sure that this design is perfectly centered in the middle of my bullet journal page. To make sure that I get some really clean lines with my coloring, I'm also gonna use some washi tapes to create the outline and make sure that none of my colors go outside of these washi tapes. Now, when it comes to the minimalist design inside the window, what you want to do is just create some wavy lines inside, and I like to make it go in opposite directions. This is going to create the hills of the desert, and if you want, you can also create some hills with more than just one bump. So you can also create one with one small hump and one bigger hump to create some variety in the hills. The next part is super simple as well. Now all we have to do is just color the hills in different shades of brown. What I really like to do is create the one in the front in the darkest brown color and create the one in the back in the lightest brown color. Now this gives the hills a really nice gradient, and I like using the different colors because it kind of gives you some dimension in your drawing. I find that using some darker colors kind of gives more emphasis to that color, and so it kind of makes it look like it's in the front, and then using some lighter colors makes it blend more to the background and gives it the impression as if it's further away. And so by using the different shades, not only are we creating a really nice gradient, but we're adding some dimension to our picture and making it look as if some of the hills are closer, whereas some of the hills are further away into the background. And then I'm also going to be using this Archer and Olive acrylic graph pen in the color Indigo to color the rest of the background as part of the window. And now the most satisfying part is we finally get to rip off all of the washi tapes. I find that this is just my favorite part because it just feels so satisfying to reveal all of the clean lines of your drawing at the end. Unfortunately, I lost a little bit of footage where I added some of the gold details, but don't worry because I have some other examples of that coming up. But for now, what we're gonna do is use the alphabet stamps to write the month of the year. And I really like using stamps in my bullet journal because I just find that they're a quick and easy way to make sure that the text in your bullet journal looks neat. And I don't know about you, but because I'm on break, I haven't been writing anything for the past couple of days, and so my handwriting has been looking like a kindergartner. And so to make sure that my cover page looks neat, I decided to just use these stamps to make sure that I'm not messing it up with my handwriting that I'm not feeling confident with at the moment. And yes, I'm completely aware that I ended up writing the wrong month, and so I decided to glue in some paper afterwards with the right month. I also didn't really like the golden star detail, so I decided to cover it up again with my blue paint pen. And so this just goes to show you that if ever there's anything in your bullet journal that you're not completely happy with in your first try, there's always so many ways that you can adjust it or change it up to turn it into a page that you do like in your bullet journal. Now moving on to the quote page, I decided to draw two rectangles and kind of make it look like a postcard because I thought that this was really fitting with the minimalist landscape type of theme. And so what you want to do is just create two rectangles, and you want to draw the other rectangle kind of behind the other one. And then for the rectangle in the front, we're also going to create a smaller rectangle within that one, and this is where we're actually going to draw our picture to give it the look of a postcard. And once you created the mini rectangle, it's time to add some washi tapes around it so that we can get some really clean lines for our drawing. Now for the desert hill drawing inside the postcard, you want to start by drawing two unfinished triangles and kind of think of an M shape. And the next thing that we're gonna do is draw some squiggly lines. And so the first line is gonna connect the pointy tip of the first triangle into the side of the second triangle, and then the second squiggly line is gonna connect the pointy tip of the second triangle all the way down to the washi tape line. And when it comes to the color, it's gonna be super simple. Anything that is on the left to the squiggly line will be in the lighter brown color, and anything to the right of the squiggly line is gonna have the darker brown color. And then all you have to do now is color the rest of the background with that blue indigo color. And what I like to do next is draw a sun in the middle of the two hills. And so what you can do next is color all of the space between the two hills with the golden circle. And now it's time to have fun and rip off all of the washi tape to reveal your beautiful landscape drawing. Once you did that, you can also outline the two rectangles to really make it pop in your bullet journal. And then I also want to add some little details to make it look more like a postcard. The first thing that I'm gonna do is draw a square to kind of mimic the look of a stamp. And then I'm also gonna add some squiggly lines and some lines on the side to really give it the look of a postcard. Now for the actual quote itself, I decided to choose the quote, "Not all who wander are lost." I found that this is really fitting with the dreamy minimalist landscape design, and so what I did is just separate the two lines above and below the postcard drawings. Now I'm just gonna go back to my cover page and glue another paper on top with the correct month and make it look as if my mistake never happened. The next page that I want to include for my January bullet journal setup is going to be a monthly goals page. This one is something that I'm really excited about because this is something that has been really helpful for me when it comes to using my bullet journal. And so what I like to do is have one big goal for the year, and then I want to break that goal into smaller pieces. And so the first thing that I want to do is break down my yearly goal into quarterly goals, and then within that quarter I want to break it down into monthly goals. And then within that monthly goal, I want to break it down into weekly goals. And I really love doing this because it makes any big goal that you have feel a lot more achievable because you're going to break it down into smaller actionable steps. And I also like having little checkpoints because I want to have a reminder to myself to do something for self-care every time I reach a milestone. And let me know in the comments down below how you like to use your bullet journal to help you with self-care. This has been something that I've been struggling to prioritize lately, and so by having these weekly checkpoints for my goals, not only am I focusing on another goal, but it also helps me focus on my self-care and making sure that I don't burn out in the pursuit of whatever goal that I have. And so once I have divided the page into 4 equal sections for each week of the month, I'm gonna start to decorate the bottom of the page. So what I'm gonna do is recreate the hills design that we had throughout the theme. And for the first hill in the front, we're just gonna create some wavy lines. And you don't have to be perfect with the wavy lines at all. You can also vary the sizes of the wave to create some variety with your hills. And then for the hills in the back, I'm also going to create some triangles, some staggered hills as well to also give it a little bit of variety. And we're also going to be using the same exact colors when it comes to the hills. So for the hills that's in the front, I'm going to be using the darker brown shade. And for the mountains that are in the back, we're going to be using the lighter brown shade. And again, these two shades just helps to give your drawings a little bit more depth and a little bit more contrast as well. And And to tie everything together, I'm also gonna paint the golden sun in the top corner of the page. You can also turn this into a moon if you want. What I really like about the moon and the sun is that you can also start out with the shape of a moon, and if you don't like it, you can just complete the circle and turn it into a sun. So this page is going to be my brain dump page, but because I don't really like to use the term brain dump, I'm just going to title this page as Thoughts Land Here. And then next to the sun, I'm also going to draw some flying birds as well. And so the idea that I had in mind is that these birds kind of symbolizes some flying thoughts or ideas in my head. And then whatever ideas I want to capture, I'm just going to write it out on this page. Now, the next page that we're gonna create for our January bullet journal setup is going to be our habit tracker. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that I don't typically track too many habits at once. And so for this month, I'm actually gonna be focusing on one habit, and that's gonna be meditation. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll also know that this has been the one habit that I've been struggling to implement for the longest time ever. And that's just because I'm someone that overthinks quite often. I really get into my head a lot, and so I've been working with a coach, and she tells me how meditation can be really helpful for me. And so it's just been a practice that I've been really working hard on implementing. And so for the next couple of months, the only habit tracker that I think I'm gonna include in my bullet journal is going to be a meditation tracker. And so until I can get used to meditating consistently, I don't want to focus on any other habits that can really deter me from focusing on this one. And I know that this is gonna take me a couple of months to implement, and so that's all I'm gonna be focusing on right now. And so be kind to yourself if you also feel like a certain habit is taking you quite a while to implement. A habit is a big lifestyle change as well, so it's normal that it doesn't happen overnight. And once you finish creating the circle tracker, I'm also gonna draw out the mountain designs inside the inner circle. And again, the coloring is also gonna follow the same gradient design, with the darker shade being the mountain in the front. Also, when it comes to creating the divisions inside the circle tracker, I didn't really have any specific system to do it at all. What I did is just divide the circle into half and then into quarters, and then I just divided each section into small little pieces and counted it up until I got 31 pieces. Also, this is really random, but I noticed that whenever I'm using the paint pens, sometimes I like to color from two different edges and then connect them in the middle, which is really weird because I don't do that type of coloring with any other pens. Anyways, to complete the landscape, I'm also going to be painting the golden sun on top of the hills as well. And then for the bottom of the page, I like to use this as a space for the legend of the tracker that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to draw out the different shades that I'm going to be using for this tracker and what each color is going to represent. So the next page that we're going to create for our January bullet journal setup is going to be a finance tracker. Now, this hasn't been something that I've included in my bullet journal for a while, and that's kind of because I've been a little bit more relaxed with my financial goals for 2021. However, I really want to get back into it and pay closer attention to my finances in 2022. So what I'm going to do is just start off by drawing a calendar for the month of January. So I'm not 100% sure of how exactly I want to use this spread yet, but one thing is for sure is that I really want to focus on separating my expenses between the things that are necessities and the things that are just something that I want. And so what I decided to do is I decided to choose the two colors to represent each type of expense. And one idea that I had is to write out the exact amount in each square of the calendar. So if ever I had an expense that is a need, I would use that color and write out the exact amount in the specific square. However, I don't know if I have enough space to do that in this calendar. And so what I might do instead is just color in a circle depending on if I expense something that I want or if it was just something that I need. And then in the bottom, I also created a little section for a summary. And so over here, I can just write out the total of everything that I expensed. So the next page that we're going to create for our January bullet journal setup is going to be a memories page. So what I want to do to create this page is just create a lot of different boxes of different sizes, and I just want to make sure that there's going to be a specific box for each day of the month. So because January has 31 days, I'm going to be creating 31 different boxes or different rectangles all across the two pages. Now you can have a lot of fun with how you want to fill up these squares. You can have a doodle each day, or you can write one word a day, or you can even just write a line a day as well. It's completely up to you in how you want to fill in the boxes. Sometimes I like to do a little bit of mix and match, so some days I would do a doodle and some days I would write a word that can summarize the whole entire day. And this is by far my favorite page to have in my bullet journal. Sometimes the days just go by so quickly, and having a page like this is a really great way for you to be able to relive some of the days that you had, and it's just a really great reminder that there's always something good in each and every day. If you haven't started a bullet journal yet and you really enjoyed this simple theme that I did for my January bullet journal setup, then I also recommend that you check out my previous video where I set up a brand new bullet journal with some really simple designs as well. I go through the step-by-steps of the pages I create whenever I'm setting up a brand new bullet journal, and the designs are simple enough for any bullet journal beginner to recreate. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave the emoji of a sun or a moon if you made it through the end. I wish you all a very happy new year. I hope you're staying safe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!